Alright guys, this is Carl and Adam from Thoughts in Motion. We're just sat in a nice lovely park swimming back and forward like this.
Being socially awkward as fuck.
It's quiet though, so who cares, no one's around. I say that, someone's probably going to walk past and a kid's going to run in this park any minute. Today we want to talk about social pressure. I have different social pressures to what Adam has, and people see social pressure in a few different ways, and it can be a few different things. So obviously, as always, I'm just going to talk from my own personal experience and my own personal opinion. Something that I've always struggled with along the lines of social pressure is people pleasing. When I was younger, I was always that kind of like pushover kind of guy. Like if people said to do something, I would just do it and I wouldn't question it. Or if like people made things to be my fault, I would feel guilty and always apologize for it and say sorry, even if it wasn't my fault, things like that. I've got a lot thicker skin these days as I've gotten older into adulthood. Yeah, I know, believe it or not. Sit in a park right now. So I've kind of learned to, I'm not like that at all whatsoever anymore. I've kind of like just overcame it completely. But obviously I'm talking about past experience. I deal with it a little bit these days in certain aspects, in certain ways, but it's not as bad. But for example, say, kind of from my own kind of opinion and experience I was talking about, say like something as simple as you have a large group of friends and they ask you to make some plans, something really cool, like you want to go to somewhere, you want to go do this, you want to go do that, and it takes some planning. Yeah, I knew that would happen. It takes some planning and you can't go because you've already got something planned, or you're stuck doing homework, or you're stuck at work, or you're stuck doing this job, that job, helping your mom, whatever. That's something that you shouldn't feel guilty about because it's not your fault. Life happens, you know what I mean? You've got things to do, there's other important things to do. But for some reason, me personally, that's always something that I always feel like super guilty about and feel bad about almost, that like I'm like not there with my friends, or I'm letting them down and not being there. I have like a fear of letting people down, especially really close friends and family members. Even like, I'm gonna be completely honest right now, even on days with Adam, when he's like, oh, can you film on this day? Or can you do this? Or can you do that? If I'm busy teaching or doing a gig or I'm doing something, I feel super guilty that I can't be there with him doing these videos, because I know that he really wants to do it and that he's free and that there's nothing stopping it from happening, but I can't do it. And obviously Adam understands because we're friends and that's kind of the friendship that we have. But at the same time, for some reason, that feeling of guilt and that really like, I wish I was there, I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that kind of feeling doesn't go away. And it's really strange. It's something I've always dealt with all of my life. And as I say, it's kind of eased off a little bit these days. I deal with it a lot better now. But every so often it kind of creeps back in certain scenarios, certain situations. For example, the one that I just mentioned, to do with Thoughts in Motion and doing videos and things like that. And it's for the lot of the time, I have kind of this pressure as well where, say you haven't seen your friend for a while, like a few weeks, a few days, a few months, whatever it may be, whatever you consider a while, and you can't make plans with them, or you want to make plans with them, but you know you can't, because you look at what you've got planned over the next week or so, work-wise, schedule-wise, and it's like, well, I've got no time, I've got no free time. That's another thing that I deal with and struggle with personally. And I don't know, it's really conflicting for me. I'm like, well, I haven't seen this friend in like 3 months, but I can't see them for another month, like, and I feel really guilty about it. Like, although they're probably not bothered, because they know that we'll meet up again eventually and we'll hang out and stuff like that, for some reason I can't help but again just feel that really left out kind of, I wish I could be there kind of feeling. Do you want to add in on this?
I think the point of that is like if you are, or like especially when it comes to like social plans and things like that, if you're making plans and then like you cancel, once is fine, like twice, 3 times you sort of taking the piss a bit. It's about having A, your priorities straight, and B, having the personal standards to not always let people down. So not as a judgment on you, but like if you're constantly like letting people down, it's not a good thing. Like you need to have a standard that says, look, I'm not spending time, I'm not prioritizing time to see these people. This is me letting myself down and letting my friends down. But if it is genuinely, like you say, because you're busy, sometimes not always, it can't always be avoided. So
yeah, definitely.
Social pressures like that, like I think letting people down comes a lot from, especially for me, from my parents, which is where we get like a lot of our like complexes from, is childhood itself.
Yeah, definitely.
And when I was a kid, it was always like, if we got invited to somewhere, my mom couldn't let them down,
Yeah.
and I would always go with her. So I had the idea that I can't let them down too.
Yeah.
I have to go too.
It's like you go to an event just to make someone happy.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing. You know when you say, "Oh, we'll go here just to show our face."
Yeah, so
That kind of thing. That's what my mom would say to me a lot as well.
It's like, Mom, I've got a sleepover that weekend with like Cameron or whoever. It's like, no, like we've got to go to this. We've got to do this, but like but you can organise this another time. It's like, well, fair enough when you're a kid, but
Which is funny because in return you're letting your friends down as well.
My friends down. Like whatever mom wants as a kid. So things like that, like it comes from like I still can't do that. I hate letting people down. Like, but I know I do a lot of research on. There's a good book on this, The Disease to Please, which I actually my mom and then borrowed off her. And it's a lot about like how people pleasing is just like the worst kind of thing like you can do. If you live to please people, it's like one of the it's one of the lowest levels of like vibration ever. Like don't live your life to please people. Like, but on the other hand, on the other side of the coin, don't always let them down. Okay, like have a good balance between like seeing friends and family, prioritizing events, and then getting the fuck down and like being busy. Okay, so after plugging the mic back in, after it fucking came out, because like technology sucks dick and hates me. Another type of social pressure is the kind that you get from people that you don't even know. For example, I've done a lot of posts on this about like social anxiety, like in like clubs and like large events with groups of people that you don't know. It can be very daunting, and you do feel a lot of judgment from other people. Like I remember being in like clubs and things like that, and I'm like, am I supposed to dance now? Am I supposed to like boogie on down and shit? Like,
what's the right thing to do?
What's the right thing to do so that people will think people will accept me and think I'm cool. But all of that's unnecessary. Like if you think of most people in big, like say you got like Leeds Festival or something like that. If you're just dancing on your own, nobody really cares what you're doing.
If anything, they think you're a legend.
Yeah, exactly. There's always that, you know what, it's weird, there's always that one guy in the middle of the club, right, that's like throwing his arms around, like being like totally free, doesn't give a shit. Like,
you just like, look at that.
He's got his shirt off and everything, and he just doesn't care. He just doesn't care. And there's like part of you that's like, what a weirdo. And then there's the other side, it's like, damn, I wish I was that guy.
I was gonna say, I wish I could do that. I wish I could be that. Yeah, exactly.
Damn, no social pressure on me whatsoever to like please all these people.
Yeah.
I'm just simply being me. So that's a different way to what you're describing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. Like we have different experiences with it. We have different there is different versions of social pressure. The one that I mentioned, the one that you mentioned, and there's probably several others as well that individuals deal with that are watching this video right now. Again, like talking about the things before though, like things like cancelling plans, like again, it all comes down to like, I don't want to let people down. If I cancel things, I'm like, well, I've just let that person down. I feel really guilty about it. And that just kind of puts me down for the rest of the day. It used to be really bad. Again, I deal with it a lot better now, but these days, if these kinds of things happen, I just kind of say to myself, look, like, you've got things to do. It's not your fault. Just get on with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're an adult now. Like, nothing is going to be the way it was. Like,
shit happens.
Life happens. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm like, it's not my fault that I'm doing my career or I'm doing a job or I'm doing something that I need to do or want to do or need to do. That's not my fault whatsoever. If anything, that's better for me personally. And you should always put yourself first. Again, like with the whole people pleasing thing, that was something that I struggled with growing up, and I never put myself first. I always put other people like in front of me, before me,
but
friends,
that
family.
Because then you start to resent the people that you've done stuff for, because your life isn't where you want it to be. So you then start resenting the people that like you made time, like you felt like you had to make time for.
It's a really dangerous thing to put other people first, and that was one of the best things that I learned growing up and kind of going into adulthood was, no matter what happens, where you go, what happens in life, you as an individual should always come first, no matter what anyone else has to say or do about it. Even family and people that need to have a say about things. Like, it's your life. You do what you want to do. You do what you need to do. It doesn't really matter what other people have to say or judge about that or whatsoever. Like, and that all comes with like, if you can learn to put yourself first and stop people pleasing, I can guarantee that you'll feel 1,000 times better about yourself, much more confident, and just generally be a happier, more positive person.
See, stages with this is, it goes from a point of like people pleasing everybody, so like you'd never put yourself first and you just constantly like doing things for other people and like your life sort of falls apart. And then you sort of go down this journey and you start being like, okay, I'm putting myself first. And then you just don't do anything for anyone else. and you're just an arrogant, like self-centered.
Yeah, I mean it's a balance, isn't it?
So then after that, and then you start like losing friends and stuff, but your life's going ahead. You then have to move into the third stage, which is, okay, I'm doing stuff for other people, but I also have to prioritize myself. So you get like a good balance going on. That's the way it should be, rather than I'm pleasing everyone, or I'm just pleasing myself.
And
you
that's
have like a healthy balance.
Talking about like, because all the rest of the video I was talking about my past and growing up. Talking about now, the present day, that's something that I'm dealing with right now and that I'm trying to balance. Is that balance between putting myself first and putting my career first, but also making the time to put other people first sometimes when needs be. Whether that's like doing something for a family member or catching up with a friend, as I say. And there's loads of people on on the list in my head right now that I know I haven't seen for ages and I need to see. But I know I can't see because I've got things planned or things to do for the next like week or so, something like that. And then when it gets to that point, it's like, well, now I've got to try and organise something on a specific day or two that they might not even be free on. So it's like trying to find that balance between like doing things for yourself and upping yourself, as well as balancing it with like actual life, friends and family and relationships and friendships and things like that.
Let's put some pressure on Carl, because I know he hates being put on the spot. So let's say, for example, right? Say Stacia's parents have like a big party or whatever. Like it's a big deal. Yeah. Like it's like a birthday party or something, or an anniversary, for example, right? And like Stacia expects you to go. Yeah. But you've got like 5 like students booked in that day. Yeah. And then you've got like a gym, and then you're going to meet Lewis or whatever. Like, and that whole day, it's like, what do you do in that situation? Like they've got the lessons planned, you've got the events planned, and then Stacey's just like, boom, here's a party that you've got to attend. Yeah. What do you do? It's funny because like that exact same thing has happened kind of similarly recently, at least a couple times. That's just life, you've got to deal with it. Like that's what you've got to do when you're in a relationship. So how did you deal with that though? I'm still trying to deal with it. It's not actually happened yet.
Basically, it's kind of like, what I try to do is kind of like, if I can, I'll reschedule lessons or like make them earlier or make them later or something like that, so I have a free period if I can. Or like the gym's easy because all I have to do really is just say, look, I'll go to the gym another day. But when it comes to lessons that are set in stone and things like that, I'll try and be as flexible as I can, juggle them around. If I can't, then all I can ever really do is be there when I can. And explain why I can't be there.
So would you cancel the lessons?
You know what I mean?
Would you cancel the lessons if you had to go to this party that's going to take like a whole day? Would you cancel the lessons and then?
Not necessarily, because if it's through the week and it's like a few lessons.
But I'm saying like if it was like the 5 lessons on that day, so it was like a Wednesday. Yeah. Like 5 lessons on the Wednesday. Yeah. And then afterwards you were going to go meet Lewis, and then you were going to go to the gym. But on that same day, that would take the whole day. Yeah. Was the birthday, like the anniversary celebration. You've either got two choices.
It's times like, right, in relation to what we talked about before, it's times like this where it's really hard, because in situations like that, I need to put myself first and I want to put myself first. But when you're in a really close, long-term relationship, it's hard to do that, because sometimes when you do that, it affects the other person, affects your partner, and they don't understand or they don't grasp why you've got to do what you've got to do. Obviously, in my situation, like, it's different because obviously everyone understands what I do and what I need to do. All my friends, family, relationship, stuff like that. But for the most part, in that situation, I would have to put myself first because it's my career. If I can, as I say, what I always say is, if I can do something, I will. So if I can reschedule something or I can cancel something, I will. But if I can't, because it's set in stone, or I'm getting paid, or it's something like a big deal and I have to do it, like a first lesson or something like that, it's really important, I have to just put myself first and deal with the consequences later. Right. Which is really hard, and I feel bad saying that almost.
See, that's the thing, that's the opposite. See, I would cancel the lessons and say, look, some family issues came up, and then go to the family like anniversary. So that's like how.
If it was a family issue, like if it's like a family, don't get me wrong, if it was like an illness or something happened, then I would. Yeah. That's different. But if it's something that's just like a social gathering or something like that, which I can do another time, or I can reschedule, or I can do this or that, or work around it, then I'd put like the career, the lessons, something, so whatever it is first.
The pressure of the students comes before the pressure of the family in that situation.
Almost, because again, going back to earlier in the video, I don't want to let my students down. And if I let my students down, which I don't very often, but if I let them down too often, that in return ruins my business and ruins my career and my reputation. And internally, I'll feel bad because I care about my students and I care about their ability to play guitar, and I want to help them progress and help them get better, and I feel bad if I can't do that
that's
for
like
them.
having a personal standard. It's like I don't want to let my students down.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to keep cancelling lessons, but at the same time, I do have to like put myself forward.
Yeah.
Put myself first.
It's a hard one. It's a hard one. Thank you for watching today's video, and we'll see you in the next one.